For today's faith moment, I'm going to tell a short little story that I heard on the telly from a minister that was out of Haiti. And I'm not going to tell his whole story, but there was something that they shared in that story that just kind of broke my heart, and then at the same time became an instant spiritual lesson on the other side. You know how those work. Bottom line, little teeny village in Haiti that these missionaries had been ministering to. The people were starting to come to the Lord and convert. And in the middle of the night, a gang came through with automobiles and fire and burned the entire village to the ground so the people had nowhere to live anymore. Obviously in retaliation for accepting the missionaries' efforts. And so the missionaries, of course, were pleading on the show to have money come in to help rebuild their houses and stuff. And instead of having huts with mats and so forth, they wanted to build a complex. And he kept emphasizing how important it was. They wanted to build this building that would be made of concrete, solid, able to stand, endure, yada, 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 for all these people that had lost all of their homes, their little huts all over their place. And you know how there's always in this world the needy and the poor and the hurting. But it just grieved my heart that these gangsters came through and just leveled this people's village. But they were all rejoicing because they were praising God that they were going to get this new house and they were going to have this new building and so forth. And I was like, that's great, that's right. We should, so the devil took out all our old straw huts and we get it replaced with a good solid building, by the man of God. Well, there was something in the scene that they showed. They said, we need to lay the concrete for this building soon because we can't have the people laying on the ground. And the reason they couldn't was because in that country, when they lay on the ground with straw mats and stuff, they're actually on the soil. And the problem is worms come up through the soil and go into they showed some of the children where the worms went actually while they're sleeping will eat through the flesh of the children. It's a very gross picture. But it was like, wham, all of a sudden I'm getting hit with the verses of, go to hell where the cankerworm eateth and those verses that talk about eternal judgment where, the worm never dieth and all that. And all of a sudden I was like, well, now I know why the worms are such a big issue in the imagery. Because it's a perpetual consumption. To them, it's a terror. I mean, to lay down on the ground. Could you imagine laying someplace and waking up with a patch like this, on your body? Well, that got me thinking about the concrete and how they said we need this concrete floor to block out the worms so that the people won't be hurt anymore. So they lost their straw mats and they lost their straw huts, which to them was home, and they had just accepted being eaten by worms as part of life, to get replaced by a concrete house with a concrete floor. And I thought, concrete floor, now that's an interesting metaphor on faith. The first foundation we lay is the foundation of faith to the rest of the building of our religion, of our Christianity, of our spirituality. But we have to lay that foundation of faith down first because that protects us from what the devil's doing. And so as it were, you're sitting on concrete now. And that which would come up from below gets blocked. Okay? You want to make sure that you're not sitting just in your flesh or sitting in the natural or sitting in this world where worm is everywhere. Everything eventually gets consumed by evil just for being there. But if you have concrete in your life, if you're a spiritually strong, concrete-based house, then your safety is going to be in the concrete. And you can lay anywhere you want, wherever you got concrete. And you won't have to worry about having yourself consumed. Your faith will protect you just by virtue of the fact that you have it. And that then becomes the foundation for you building your walls and building your windows and building everything else you need to make this beautiful creation unto God that those missionaries, later when that building's all done, is going to take photographs and say, see this? This is what the Lord hath built. Sacrifices of the saints, the finances, etc. But the safety of the people is the issue. They are protected. That's what our houses do for us. They protect us. And I was reminded of, and last comment here, but I was reminded of the story of the wolf and the three pigs. The little fairy, the little, what's it called, parable, children's story. You know?
Yep.
Blow the house down, but you can't blow this one down. What you build will determine whether or not this life chews it apart, blows it down. You getting my picture? Build it out of concrete. Make sure that what you have is concrete. This is the fulfillment example of a man who builds his house on a rock won't be knocked over. Just in a different metaphor, a different way of looking at it.